It's going to be pretty fun to talk about as we go on into it. Once again, thank you so much for joining us on our YouTube and online. So, Michael, before we get going into today, I guess I'll ask you, how was your weekend? What'd you end up doing? What'd you do to take in the weekend? Did you get a chance to relax a bit? I know you went out on Friday and got a little bit of time with the Hawaii Warrior Football Network and that free keiki clinic there. How was your weekend?
My weekend was pretty eventful. I probably still need to catch up on my sleep, but yeah, Friday was definitely a busy day. First, we got the morning show. Then I had to kind of jet home. First off, Friday morning I was unprepared. I didn't have all my belongings. I just kind of woke up and was like, I need to get to the studio as soon as possible. So I had to go back home, grab my gear. Now I was in studio also to run the board for the Mariners game, which, surprise, surprise, it went to extra innings. It went to the 12th inning. The Mariners, by the way, we are the home of the Mariners. If you are a Mariners fan, tune in. But I guess I should probably say that whenever I'm in studio, there is a very high chance that they go to extra innings. So I don't know if that's a prop bet somewhere that you can put money on, but it's been pretty consistent so far that the Mariners are going to extra innings. But yeah, there's that. And then I kind of like took a power nap without actually napping, if that makes any sense, before I went over to Farrington High School for the Hawaii Warrior Football Network's keiki clinic, which was pretty fun, actually. You got to see all the coaches kind of get in there. The funniest one is the little kids asking Matchon, "Are you a coach?" Of course, he's running a drill, with the stuff, but that was just kind of funny. It was kind of cool to see some of our new players that came in via the transfer portal helping out with the clinic. That was kind of cool. I think we got the new quarterback from UCLA, Davis, I believe his last name is. DeMarcus, I think his
it's DeMarcus Demetrius. We can find it.
Yeah. He was out there. He looked, I'll tell you what, when people, in Hawaii, when people list their football height, they're usually adding like a few inches. This guy's a legit 6'3" or 6'5", whatever he is, because he's massive.
Big
but
dude.
I also got to see some of our new receivers help Coach Ursula with some of the drills, and I saw Brandon White from Kentucky as well as Jackson Harris. And I believe Brandon White was a former quarterback in high school, but Jackson Harris can also throw it too, because they were throwing routes and the people were doing one-on-ones or catching routes on air with the players or with the campers, the keiki, the children. And I wouldn't be surprised if we have some wide receiver trick play passes this year. I'm gonna set the line at 2.5.
2.5.
We're gonna about 2.5. I believe that's a fair line of like wide receiver double passes we're gonna see during the season. Coach Timmy Chang was also there, obviously, of course, kind of overseeing everything and whatnot. But Coach Timmy Chang did throw, and it's like, for those that didn't get to see Coach Timmy Chang, or me, I was a bit younger. It was
a good reminder.
He can sling it, and one of the cool moments, which I got to actually kind of go through my photos and send it to you, is that Coach Randall Okimoto, former Farrington coach, he's kind of getting into more some ministry stuff and just more helping with the kids. His son was at the camp, and Coach Timmy got a chance to catch a pass from Coach Timmy. I believe that's one of the photos I posted on our social media. So that was kind of cool. Elias Okimoto, yeah. So yeah, that was kind of cool. So it was a fun event. Chick-fil-A gave post snacks to everybody that participated, apparently. So I thought it was just the campers, but maybe I should have gone over there to get some Chick-fil-A. But no, I messed up. But there's another one, July 11th. But I believe there's been such a high turnout or high people coming in that it's kind of hard. But yeah, so that was my Friday. That was a long Friday, Paul. I think I'm going to put 10 hours on my timesheet that day.
I was going to say, that is a long day for you, my friend.
And the weekend, I just played Pokemon Go. It was Go Fest. Anybody that plays Pokemon Go want new friends? Because I can carry some raids, but that's another story.
I love it. I'll have to get back into Pokemon Go. I haven't played that since, I don't even know. I think college I was last there. But yeah, a great job by you. Appreciate you going out and covering that and getting some really fun flicks of the keiki clinic. And once again, shout out to Hawaii Warriors Football Network, the Friday Night Lights keiki football clinic that they had, a free clinic this past Friday, and next one on July 11th, so not this upcoming Friday, but the one after that. And like Michael said, it is filling up quickly, so if you haven't been able to secure a spot quite yet, try and do that. About 200 keiki are allowed to go and enjoy and have a wonderful time with the Hawaii football coaching staff, the players, and so many others. It seems like such a great time, and like Michael said, it's not just them who are helping it out. Chick-fil-A afterwards providing some food for the keiki and I guess others as well. It was a pretty full weekend otherwise, and we'll talk some basketball stuff, some NBA stuff later today. We'll talk Justin McCoy, another bow to the pros potentially as he gets ready to play in the NBA Las Vegas Summer League. That one should be a lot of fun as well. A very popular player here in the islands, and there's some stuff going on with the Pac-12 and the Mountain West and some media deals, so we're going to have to get into all of that coming on up as well. But Michael, I mentioned it before. I want to talk a little bit about the NFL breaking news of the morning because, in my opinion, these are two of the teams that have some of the most Hawaii ties, it seems like, consistently between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Miami Dolphins. Obviously, Tua Tagovailoa, the quarterback of the Miami Dolphins, he loses one of his targets as Jonnu Smith gets traded as part of this huge blockbuster between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Miami Dolphins, where he isn't even really the main piece. It's all-pro corner Jalen Ramsey heading to Pittsburgh for Minkah Fitzpatrick, the former Miami Dolphin and all-pro at safety. Ramsey's contract will be mostly paid by the Steelers, the $26.6 million. The Dolphins only have to pay $7 million of that. About $19.6 million will be paid by Pittsburgh, and that's a big portion of why you see what you see. And to me, this seems like a move that Pittsburgh's making as a all-in one-year type of move. And I say that because of obviously who is their quarterback, Aaron Rodgers signing on, and he has now admitted that there's not much left in the tank. So acquiring a three-time All-Pro corner, trading a pretty good safety away, but also acquiring another talented tight end, one of offensive coordinator Arthur Smith's favorite targets throughout his career coaching. He's now had him in Tennessee, Atlanta, and now in Pittsburgh. Michael, when you saw this move, what kind of reaction did you have to it? I know you've been a fan of Jalen Ramsey before. It's been a little bit. What can you talk about, at least in terms of what are the Steelers getting? What was your reaction to this move?
I mean, it's a big name move. It's a big name trade, but the names involved, they're kind of past their prime, right? I think you don't know if Jalen Ramsey has lost a step. Keep in mind that Jalen Ramsey was actually a safety in college just because they needed him there. But, yeah, this is kind of interesting. Minkah Fitzpatrick is a really great player. He may have also lost a step in the recent years. I remember like 2010s, 2020, 2021.
We got there.
On Madden, he was always a dog in Madden. You know, he's one of those players where his player card kind of performed above what you think his rating is. So Minkah Fitzpatrick, but I think Minkah did play in Miami for a bit, so it's not big of a deal for him. I think Jonnu Smith is probably the one that's kind of the name that people are like, oh, the disrespect on this guy. He was a Pro Bowler and whatnot. Again, I remember Jonnu Smith for being a Tennessee Titan, not a Miami Dolphin. And in the Dolphin system, McDaniel system, it isn't really, the tight ends isn't really like an offensive threat. Not that I can recall. I mean, even when like when he was at San Francisco with George Kittle, like George Kittle would rarely go off except for that one random game where you don't start him and he gets 3 touchdowns. But I mean, the reason why Jonnu and Jalen Ramsey is being sent out the door is because they're paying Tyreek Hill, and that's probably. I mean, and I think they're trying to get Jalen Waddle. I think either they are trying to get Jalen Waddle an extension or he's already signed a new contract. But if you're gonna put that money in all those receivers, and I think Tua also got a contract too, something's got to go and something's got to give. And I think Jalen Ramsey's one was was more mutual, and even John Smith. But like this is kind of interesting for Pittsburgh now because I know they have a really solid tight end in Freiermuth. So Steelers are definitely going for it. I think the front office realizes that hey, we can't have a winning record against Mike Tomlin all the time and not show anything for it. And it's like, okay, well, if we're gonna suck next year, then we might as well go for it this year. So I guess that's what they're going for. But the Steelers, yeah, they're definitely pushing for that title. Plus the division is kind of scary. I mean, I don't know if we're actually gonna ever get to our divisional
I know.
stuff. I mean, but because there's just so much going on in the sports world. But yeah, Steelers might be a surprise pick for the playoffs because they I mean Ravens, they don't have a kicker. I mean Justin Tucker was out
for
for
what, 10 weeks or something
long
like that.
time. Cleveland, you don't know what's going on there. I think the Bengals still have not paid one of their defensive players. I don't
Trey
know.
Hendrickson.
Yeah, the Bengals. Yeah, so right now Steelers is the. I mean, sorry Ravens, they still have Lamar Jackson, but
Yeah.
the Steelers, I guess right now is the model of consistency in that division, which is kind of shocking. But I mean that you don't win those many championships and not have something going on there. So shout out to Pittsburgh, and that place is gonna be with me because I think they're gonna Philadelphia is also gonna get a WNBA team. We didn't even mention that.
That's something we'll get to later this week as the WNBA announced this morning or revealed this morning that there will be potential expansion to 18 teams coming on up in the near future. Finishing up the notes on this blockbuster trade on June 30th in the NFL, Jonnu Smith also gets a 1-year, $12 million extension as part of the deal. It adds another pass catcher to Pittsburgh, which it feels like they need after they trade away George Pickens. Obviously, they have DK Metcalf. Like you mentioned, they also have, I have now lost it, Pat Freiermuth. And overall, they're going to run the ball pretty well, I would think. That's just what the Steelers typically do. It'll be fun. It'll be a good time to watch. I don't really know if it takes them over the top. Their defense was phenomenal last year. I don't think Rodgers is going to be like an MVP level quarterback for them, so I don't know how much this move really changes things. They still have an incredible defense and an offense that I see kind of being middling. Yeah, like it could be good. I just know that there are a lot of Steelers fans out here in Hawaii, or a lot of people invested in how the Steelers do as well. They have Roman Wilson, obviously, they drafted last year. They had they did have at one point both Herbig brothers. Now I believe it's just Nick Herbig is with them. The full blockbuster between the Steelers and the Dolphins. Steelers end up getting Jalen Ramsey, Jonnu Smith, and a 2027 7th-round pick. The Dolphins get Minkah Fitzpatrick and a 2027 5th-round pick. As I mentioned before, the Steelers paying about $20 million on Jalen Ramsey's remaining $26.6 million salary for this season. The Dolphins stuck with just about $7 million on that price tag. And funny little fun fact to close this segment out, Michael. In the past 35 years, there have been 4 individual players traded between the Steelers and the Dolphins. Jonnu Smith, Jalen Ramsey, and now Minkah Fitzpatrick twice. Minkah Fitzpatrick in this deal, and Minkah Fitzpatrick back in September of 2019 when the Steelers originally acquired him for a first-round pick. So those are the only 4 in the past 35 years. A big-time breaking news deal on June 30th in the NFL. A little bit of a rarity, but that's what we start things off with today. We're going to move on over to some basketball. When we return, don't go too far. You're listening to Wake Up in the Den on 95.1 FM and AM 760.
You're listening to Wake Up in the Den with Paul Brecht and Michael Lasquero on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, AM 760 and 95.1 FM, and streaming on hawaiisportsradio.com.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den. Paul Brecht, Michael Lasquero with you on this Aloha YouTube Monday. Open things up talking about a breaking news trade in the NFL. A rare June 30th move and a rare move, at least player for player, between the Miami Dolphins and the Pittsburgh Steelers. A couple of teams with Hawaii ties, some players that Hawaii fans certainly care about. Shout out to Caesar and our Ku'ule Agbayani, both who are active in the chat. Ku giving a shout out to the Dubliner, the home of the Steelers out in Heidelberg, Germany, my motherland, for those of you who don't know. And Caesar talking a little bit about the NBA, and that's actually where we're going to lead into as free agency. The legal tampering period opens up today in the pros in the NBA after what was a crazy weekend of moves. It seemed like, Michael, we joked a little bit about the DeAndre Ayton getting bought out by the Portland Trail Blazers because you saw an old tweet that back when the Pacers were very, very interested in him, that had resurfaced right around. And we get into free agency in what is a really interesting era of NBA hoops, right? We talk about the apron system all of the time, and I know that fans consistently get frustrated by that, right? Like, what are the aprons and how frustrating that can be to hear it over and over again and not really have an idea what it means? Because, like, why can't you just spend more? And to explain that a little bit, I'll go over into this where the NBA has a hard cap, right? And by a hard cap, I mean you cannot spend more than a certain amount of money, depending on what apron you are hard capped at. So along with those restrictions, the amount of money that you can spend, there's also a luxury tax that goes on top of that. So not only when you go over a tax, whether it's the first apron, second apron, whatever it may be, not only do you have an inability to now make certain moves, whether it be trades, whether it be access to your draft picks, so on and so forth. And there are so many different rules that I won't try and get into right now to save the beautiful people. But there are so many different things that free agency isn't necessarily what we once saw, where you saw the LeBron and the D-Wade and the Chris Bosh come together via free agency. You saw Kevin Durant sign with the Golden State Warriors via free agency. And you see some of these massive moves like that. I don't think we will be getting pretty much anything along those lines, Michael, in this free agency. Now, that doesn't mean we won't have some blockbuster trades. It won't mean we won't see moves like that. But when it comes to the top of the free agent market, it is not exactly that of a decade ago or even, 7-8 years ago, where the list is a lot better talent at the top. It seems kind of slim pickings, and now the spots for people to land are much fewer. Am I off in that? Do you feel differently?
Well, I think we've been bamboozled because Sham Charania said, "Oh, this is going to be the craziest free agency summer ever," and it hasn't gone. But I do want to say the NBA technically doesn't have a hard cap. It's called a soft cap. I mean, I would look at the second apron penalties as being more of a hard cap because you're being.
So that is what I'm getting to.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. I mean, but the thing is with the soft cap, and here's the thing with free agency and whatnot is that there's things like bird rights, and you can get over that floor of the cap, right? You can spend a little bit more. There's ways to maneuver around it. Now, the second apron, people are terrified about that. And I mean, I understand. But if you have the cash flow, and that's the thing that kind of scares me with the Lakers is that their new owners have money. And if they might be willing to take those penalties if that makes the team better. I mean, you already have LeBron. I don't know if we're going to talk about LeBron as much, but he's already coming like, oh, I question the Lakers' ability to have a championship. But, of course, you just opted into, what, $50+ million, bro? Like, come on. Like, if you want them to have a championship roster, take a pay cut. Tom Brady did it, who, I don't know, I'm calling totally off a tangent, but apparently Tom Brady is, like, talking to Sidney Sweeney, and that guy, that man's getting everything, Paul. Man's getting everything.
He's approaching his
he can't keep getting away with this.
Derek Jeter era of dating, I guess, just way later in his life. Anyway, no, I mean, I don't disagree there, and it's a good explanation by you where there's a hard cap with the second apron, and the reason I will caution a little bit about worries with the Lakers and the new ownership. The second apron, it's less about the financial penalties that make it a struggle, but it's the actual moves that you can no longer make. You don't get signing exceptions. You become hard capped at the second apron, and you can no longer use the taxpayer mid-level exception. You can't aggregate 2 or more player salaries in a trade. You can't send out cash in a trade. You can't acquire a player using a traded player exception that was created via previous sign and trade. You can only re-sign your own free agents. You can sign your own draft picks, and you can sign players to minimum contracts. You can also make trades where one player salary is sent out for equal or less salary coming back, meaning you can do a 1-for-2 trade or more with a high number or a high value of the contract. So it just makes team building a lot more difficult, which is why you see the Boston Celtics pretty much dismantling what was their championship roster. And I understand Jason Tatum is going to be injured for the majority, if not the entirety, of this upcoming season. But now Kristaps Porzingis residing in Atlanta, Drew Holiday over in Portland. Some other moves that happened yesterday or were announced to start happening yesterday. Jalen Williams, not J-Dub, but the other Jalen Williams on the Thunder, signed a 3-year extension worth $24 million. Bobby Portis announced that he would re-sign with Milwaukee, 3 years, $44 million. Julius Randle, former very, very close player to my heart. I still love Julius Randle. He agrees to a 3-year, $100 million deal with the Minnesota Timberwolves, an extension there. James Harden is going to re-sign with the Los Angeles Clippers on a 2-year deal. DeAndre Ayton will be entering free agency. And then, Michael, the last thing before we head to break, you mentioned it before, is LeBron James. And I'm going to put on my tinfoil cap just for a second, because yesterday was an announcement put out, or a statement put out by his agent, Rich Paul. And that, to me, read in a very interesting way, right? Where it didn't read as though it was a couple of teams who are a couple of parties who are going to remain together. I'll read you the quote here from Rich Paul. Quote, LeBron, knows the Lakers are building for the future. He understands that, but he values a realistic chance at winning it all. We are very appreciative of the partnership that we've had for 8 years with Jeannie Buss and Rob Pelinka, and consider the Lakers as a critical part of his career. Now, Michael, you make a point before about if that's really true, then he could absolutely take a pay cut. It's something we've seen before. Dirk Nowitzki most famously did it with the Dallas Mavericks multiple times, and Tim Duncan did it as well. Kobe Bryant did not do it later on in his career, but the Lakers were not necessarily as good. They didn't have a player nearly as good as Luka Doncic is next to him. So it is a little bit interesting. To me, that quote reads a bit more like a goodbye or a potential opening of the door for a goodbye. So the question now that has been going around major circles is LeBron going to get traded? And if so, where's he get traded to? And the reason I bring it up is, in my mind, there are only 2 places, and it's New York and it's Cleveland. And both of which I don't know if it's smart for them to make that move. Am I going too off the deep end here with a tinfoil hat? He's trying to maneuver his way out of Los Angeles one last time.
I mean, I've never heard of New York being a possibility, so I think that's just the Knicks algorithm in your feed giving you.
I can explain that.
But I mean, further. But I will say this about this, and now I mean, I guess the camera wasn't on me where you were talking about LeBron and Paul. If you were looking at me, my eyes were closed because why are we still talking about this? Here's the thing: whatever he's doing, he's controlling the narrative. He's making him to be the most talked about topic during this period because he knows that his butt buddy Stephen A. Smith, they're trying to manufacture this whole beef because so that he's on the president's mind and people are talking about LeBron. Here's the thing. LeBron, okay. Remember when he went on a podcast 2 weeks ago? He said ring culture is messed up, right?
I don't disagree.
But now he's over saying, oh, I want to win a championship. Like, bro, make up your mind. Is the ring culture messed up? Or is championships is you want to win a championship? Like,
I get that. There's two different things.
But the thing is, you can't say that and then you can't say this and want to take that much money. You got to know that there is a second apron. Here's the thing. He is not getting traded. He is staying with the Lakers. You know why? Because he needs to stay with the Lakers to generate more revenue because his ultimate goal is to own an NBA team. So whatever he's saying is just a excuse for why the Lakers don't win with LeBron there. It's because I'm trying to help grow the future. And this just needs to stop. We don't need to keep talking about LeBron. I mean, we are going to talk about LeBron, but you got to understand, he is making we are eating out of the palm of his hands, and just understand that and have some dignity because nobody's trading for him. Paul, I'm going to give you a chance to talk about. I mean, you're hosting the show, but you can get a chance about the Knicks. But the Cleveland, they can't. They're gonna have to send. You're gonna have to send that contracts to get LeBron if Cleveland wants him. And then again, if you trade up that team, does that same team? The number one thing about the Cleveland this year was that their depth was elite, and that's why they were the number one team in the East. Unfortunately for the Cleveland fans, the Pacers just had better depth than them, but. Yeah, you're not gonna that Cleveland team is not gonna be the same. And if any team that LeBron is on, he's gonna need the ball. He has not shown in his career that he can play off the ball unless he had a really good solid point guard that like Rajon Rondo that can take over the playmaking duties. On Cleveland, they don't have that point guard roster. They don't because mostly the ball is gonna be in Donovan Mitchell's hands, and Donovan Mitchell can get you 45 points a game. Can LeBron get you 45 points at 45?
I was going to say, at this point in his career, I think you should add, because I don't know if we should be questioning the top scorer in the history of the NBA, but I don't totally disagree with you, which is why I would caution as well. The Knicks make sense mostly because that was a long-time apple of his eye. That was the...
With what coach?
Here's the thing. LeBron is the coach. What are you talking about? When has LeBron ever cared about the coach? LeBron wanted to get Eric Spoelstra fired and then didn't get Eric Spoelstra fired and then he doesn't care about the coach.
But Dolan will never let LeBron have that kind of power.
Yes, he will. What are you talking about? That's what Dolan would exactly do. I think I would know what Dolan would do more than...
What is the next trade package then?
You have three different options. So you could talk about a Karl Anthony Towns trade package, which once again, I would not do. You have an OG Anunoby and a Mitchell Robinson makes the money work. I once again don't like that deal because then it makes your defense absolutely horrific. And then you also have a Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, and Mitchell Robinson. All three of those money-wise makes sense, and once again, all three make the Knicks objectively a worse team, which is where I was more so going of, I understand because you had the 2009 pursuit, you had the 2012 pursuit, you had the 2018 pursuit, you had the whatever, all of these different pursuits of LeBron James. If you are the New York Knicks, the apple of your eye, blah, 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 blah. LeBron was in New York the other day.
I do the Cat LeBron trade.
That one I would consider, but the reason I can't bring myself to stomach it, and obviously if things like that were to happen, it is you talk yourself into it. It's LeBron James. But I don't see a world where LeBron plays more than 2 years, and realistically it's probably 1. And that means now you are trading Karl Anthony Towns and probably 8 years worth of Cat for 1 year of LeBron and pushing all your chips in on the table for next year, which there's already the talk about that anyway, but it's a lot. It's not something that I personally want to see them do, but I do think it is on the table. The Cavs, it feels like that is just too perfect of a storyline for him to end his career there and whatnot with them building the roster back up. They're going to be a little bit more difficult after signing Sam Merrill. It makes the math a little bit more wonky on that. And shout out to our texter who texted in, wish NBA would fix their All-Star game, and also asked who Robin on the Lakers is. One, I agree. I wish they would fix their All-Star game. I think they're still working to try and do something along those lines, whether it's international versus USA, kind of like we saw the Four Nations this past year for hockey, for NHL, or whatever it may be, adding some sort of semblance of value to the winning side so that you actually get them to play harder. I'm not totally sure, but that is something that needs to be fixed. And who's robbing on the Lakers? At this point, I think it's LeBron. I think you have to say it's LeBron. Is that not the case? Do you disagree?
It won't. It will never happen though, because Luka and LeBron are both two ball dominant players who. So
that's really the answer. Is you have two Batmans.
Yeah, and who don't play good defense. And here's the thing. The thing is, like, for one of them to be the actually, you know what? LeBron's still the Batman. Luka would be the Robin in this scenario because Luka has a better bag in terms of dribbling packages than LeBron. Sure, LeBron has his moves, but you can kind of know. But Luka is a better dribbler and a better skilled player, and that's the kind of player that ball dominant players need because, hey, when I'm tired, I'm just going to give it to you, and you're going to cook. We saw that with Kyrie Irving. We can see that with Jalen Brunson. Now, I know Caesar in our YouTube chat is saying that Cat for LeBron is a terrible trade. It's a terrible trade for the Lakers, but for the Knicks, you don't really lose much, right? I mean, Karl Anthony Towns was barely unplayable towards down the stretch against the Pacers, but if you have LeBron at the 4 or at the 3 and OG Anunoby, LeBron doesn't have to guard the best wing. Mitchell Robinson will be an all-star with LeBron there because there'll be a lot more lobs and LeBron doesn't have to rebound and play center. That is a great deal. And the Knicks, again, we're 2 games away from the NBA Finals. And the thing is, they played the Pacers really well. They got in back-to-back seasons, and the common factor was Jalen Brunson, not Karl Anthony Towns. Not Hardenstein. You know, it was.
Yeah, the fact of the matter is Jalen Brunson is engine.
That team. Here's the thing, because, well, if LeBron's there, I would bring back Tom Thibodeau because they play the minutes. They play the starters a lot, but LeBron slows the game down because he's gonna dissect everything. He's gonna slow the pace down, and that's what the Knicks need if they're gonna play a lot of minutes. And yeah, LeBron to the Knicks. If the Lakers just want Karl Anthony Towns for LeBron, I am making that move in a heartbeat for both teams.
It's an interesting concept, thought process, no matter what. Once again, shout out to Caesar in the chat. 2003 draft class trio in the Big Three is his suggestion. LeBron playing with Melo and D Wade in Ice Cube's Big Three. That would be a lot of fun. I would tune in to watch that. But instead of talking about old draft class, let's talk about some of the new ones. When we come back on Wake Up in the Den, we'll chat some of these Summer League games as there are some bows going to the pros. You'll be able to see them on your television screens on the 9th Island. Tell you about that coming on up on Wake Up in the Den, 95.1 FM, and on YouTube.
Stuck in traffic.
Back to more Wake Up in the Den with Paul Brecht and Michael Lasquero on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den. Paul Brecht, Michael Lasquero with you on this Aloha YouTube Monday. Mahalo for anybody joining us on our YouTube channel, Hawaii Sports Radio Network. We're live there every single Monday, and I got a secret for you. We might also be live there tomorrow as Matt Elliott, as of right now, still confirmed to join us here in the Den, chat all about Hawaii athletics, his entire process here, and get to know the new athletic director of the Rainbow Warrior and Wahine athletic programs a little bit better. We were talking about the NBA in our previous segment, and we're going to continue that conversation now as the NBA Summer League almost here. Almost time to kick off. It's July 10th, the first day in Las Vegas. There are actually multiple summer leagues. They're used to. Michael, did you watch NBA Summer League much in the last, I don't know. I was going to say growing up, but we grew up slightly different eras. You're like 5 years older than me. So did you grow up watching any Summer League action, or was that not something that necessarily interested you as much?
I mean, not growing up in my adolescent days, pubescent days, but maybe when I was a little bit older in my early adulthood, when the Pacers, were kind of back on the rise. I mean, but they used to play in the Orlando one,
So
which is kind of lame because there was Orlando blue and Orlando white.
That is why I was bringing it up. It was going to be the conversation around the different summer leagues, where you used to have the Orlando Summer League, you have the Salt Lake City Summer League, you had the LA Challenge or the California Classic Challenge, and then of course you had the Las Vegas Summer League. And the Las Vegas Summer League is the most popular of them and the one that has grown the most over the past, I don't even know how many years at this point. But it's going to go from July 10th through the 20th. It's at the Thomas and Mack Center over at UNLV, on the campus of UNLV. All 30 teams all 30 franchises have a team, so you'll be able to see your favorite team playing in it, and I'm talking to you, the beautiful people, whoever you may end up rooting for. And you also will have some bows in the pros. Justin McCoy, it was announced, signed with the Portland Trailblazers Summer League team, and he'll appear on their Summer League roster after having a pretty good year in Europe. Averaged 17.7 points and 6.7 rebounds across 33 games in Europe this year. Shot 37% from three, had multiple 30-point games, and ends up having a great first year at the professional ranks after what was a little bit of a late start for him. He was trying to see if he could play another year of college basketball, was playing around and testing out the waters and trying to get another waiver, and ended up not coming on through, didn't end up playing for the Rainbow Warriors again, but started his professional career and now getting a chance with the NBA. Another Rainbow Warrior going to play in the Summer League, Biwali Bayless going to play with actually my New York Knicks, the Summer League roster. He was on the 2020-2021 roster for Hawaii, played in all 21 games that season, starting 12 of them as a true freshman before he went over to the NBL, started his professional career. Since joining the NBL, he has won 2 titles with the Sydney Kings back in 2022 and 2023. Most recently, he was signed with the Sydney City Comets, averaging 28.6 points, 7.9 rebounds, and 6.1 assists per game. That also reminds me to kind of give you a reminder to go look at my piece on hawaiisportsradio.com as another bow to the pros, Roy Igwe, making his way over to the Japanese B1 League, or the B League over there, the top professional basketball organization in his home country, and leaving after just one season with the Rainbow Warriors. We barely knew you, Roy, but we are very much so looking forward to your future as you continue on the basketball court. And if you missed that conversation, you can hear that back in that actual article posted along with it. But Michael, I'm excited for the Summer League. I'm excited that there's a little extra Big West and Hawaii flavor as well for people who aren't familiar. There's Hayden Gray of UC San Diego will play with the Boston Celtics. You also have, I'm losing his name, Lachlan Ulbrich, who will play with the Chicago Bulls, the former Big West Freshman of the Year. There's a different amount of Big West flavor, so even if you aren't necessarily an NBA fan, I think you might be able to find somebody to root for in this Summer League.
Well, I mean, there's also a PAC-West flavor with former Hilo player Niwa
Bang.
Tate Jones. I finally
Look
got
at
it
you.
out. I got it out.
When the lights are the brightest,
it
Michael
out.
steps up to the plate, everybody.
They gotta make sure I pronounce your name correctly. Who probably could have been on the University of Hawaii if we push it a bit better. I know some people say no, but I can tell you if you just ask the player, he would have been on the UH. But
Interest definitely was there.
That's another story. But yeah, I'm excited to see him with the Toronto Raptors, which, by the way, I guess Bobby Webster, local boy from Kailua, is kind of running everything there now. So kind of cool to see. Because my Toronto Raptors source, also likes
It's locked in.
Niwa Tate Jones. So
Love that.
I might giving away who my Toronto Raptors source is after that. But also, yeah, I need to see if Tolu Smith, former Kahuku player of the year, is still with the Detroit Pistons, because that'll be another fun summer team league to watch if he's there. So yeah, there's a lot of flavor here with Hawaii ties in the summer league, where I guess I might actually have to watch it, and we might actually have to cover it, Paul, because you're a basketball junkie. All you need to do is just find me the clips or where I can watch, rip some of the footage, and
Yeah, man.
it might be on our social media. Who else is out there? But yeah, but speaking of Niwa Tate Jones, Hilo on the board. Now, HBU? So Paul, here's another fun question. I guess we got to go to break, but who is going to be the next HBU player on a Summer League roster?
Ooh, what a good question. If you're putting me on the spot right now, what a good question. It feels like Joshua West continues his climb up. I've said it before. He's going to challenge in the Pac-West this year, but he's going to have a massive, massive year if he wants to get into the Summer League just off of that. It's a good question. I'm going to have to think about it a little bit more.
Text your men's basketball HBU group chat.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask them, see what we can figure on out. But you're right, got to step aside for our last break of the first hour. Don't go anywhere though. We'll continue the conversation, the local conversation, when we come back. You're listening to 95.1 FM on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Stuck in traffic?
That sucks.
Here's why on the Hawaii
Den with Paul Brecht and Michael Lasquero on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, AM 760 and 95.1 FM, and streaming on hawaiisportsradio.com.
Let's go.
Closing out hour number one here on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, Paul Brecht, Michael Lasquero with a ton of hoops discussion on the day. And Michael, we're going to continue that because there was some interesting, I'll call it breaking news today. Friend of the show, Matt Brown of Extra Points, was the one that was reporting on it. And if you don't follow him, I really do recommend it because he is as connected as it seems to get, especially at the college level, and a really nice guy in general. He reports this morning that EA Sports, the NCAA basketball game, is returning after the great success of NCAA college football, obviously in year number 2 now, and Michael, you can speak a little bit to that. And it looks like they're going to reboot the formerly popular NCAA basketball game. This is one that's exciting to me. I used to play this game. I actually have the most quote-unquote recent copy, which is NCAA Basketball 10 with Blake Griffin on the front.
Recent, you say?
Yeah, that's why I said quote-unquote recent. And it's over a decade and a half old. But yeah, according to Matt Brown, it won't be called NCAA basketball. The working title mentioned in the paperwork that he inspected was EA Sports College Basketball. The NCAA will participate as a licensing partner, but will not be in the title of the game. But that was the breaking news of the morning. And Michael, I know you're a video game guy just like I am. Is this something that piques your interest at all? Would you be interested in playing this? I know that I am a little more the basketball guy here at HSRN, so this is something that I definitely would get into.
Well, like the previous game, I'm not sure it had all the teams, right? Did it have all the teams? So, yeah, I mean, can you even guarantee like Hawaii's going to be in it? So that's another thing. Like, if you can't guarantee that the Hawaii's going to be in it, then I don't know if I even want to play it.
Well, that's a fair question.
But I think also now with players staying in college longer, it kind of works out because, oh, yeah, they're not just one and done. Like, you can actually have a career in college and you can play as like your favorite college player because they're actually there for 3-4 years. I think we should be kind of like getting out of the COVID years already by I think 2028. So that's a good thing. One thing people are kind of upset about is like, why would they put out a statement if it's not gonna, we're not gonna know about it, we're not gonna get it for another 2 or 3 years, kind of like the stadium. Anyways, but it's because you kind of have to announce that you're developing it so that people that you want to hire to bring on to help develop it, and you can kind of get all parties involved that kind of help it. Even with the college football game, I think it was announced in 2021 that they're gonna make it only for the first one to come out since the reboot in 2024. So you kind of have to announce things. I mean, that's how you get people interested in it. And now we're going to have people fire up the old game. You're going to have streamers film them playing a game in 720p because that's what they have. So, yeah, I'm probably not going to play this game. Honestly, there's too much stuff going on. Football a little bit easier because in the football season, it's kind of just football and wahine volleyball, and it's easier to kind of manage. Oh, sorry, Coach Bud Nagamine. Wahine soccer as well, which I think they're going to have a really great season this year.
I also think that Wahine soccer is going to have a good year. I think there are going to be a lot of good years. It's one that's interesting to me, and I do recommend go read this a little bit more. It's a discussion we can continue as well, where it is interesting. EA Sports College Basketball 29, perhaps, talking about the expansivity of the college football game and how that has kind of opened doors for these other sports. Maybe you see baseball return. That is something that really is a pipe dream in my mind, but I would also very much so love. So interesting nonetheless. It's something that we don't have to worry about for a few more years. But yeah, Michael, you bring up 2028. Maybe the football stadium will be done by then, and well, then we'll be in the Mountain West, and well, the Pac-12 will still be battling us. And I think there was
the Pac-2 plus 5.
That would be them. I think we could talk a little bit about that. We got a ton to discuss in hour number 2 still coming on up. But we got to step aside for our top of the hour break. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Wake Up in the Den on 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Summer is here. Kids are out of school and
Welcome back. Hour number 2 here on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network. Paul Brecht, Michael Lasquero after a basketball-packed hour number 1 back on 95.1 FM. Also streaming live on our YouTube channel, Hawaii Sports Radio Network, and online, hawaiisportsradio.com. I did get a text in that our AM line might be down currently, just static, so apologies if you tried to tune in on...
It's Kool-Aid's fault.
Yeah, it's Koo's fault for being away and tuning in at the same time. We're only kidding, Koo. But continuing the conversation on today, Michael, you had just mentioned something that is of interest to me, which is the Pac-12, the Mountain West, 2028, all of these different things. As we got some breaking news this morning. Breaking news might be strong because it has been hinted at for so long, but Texas State officially becoming the 8th full football member for the Pac-12. It was voted on by their Board of Regents this morning and confirmed, the conference officially confirming it as well. GJ Kinney and that football program entering on into the Pac-12 and continuing the joke that it is the conference full of states. You have to have state to be a football-only member or be a football member, as Texas State joins Boise State, Colorado State, Fresno State, Oregon State, San Diego State, Utah State, and Washington State as the 8 football members. Of course, Gonzaga, the 9th member, they will add in their basketball, how good they are at basketball, the caliber of basketball in which they are for both men's and women's basketball. And they are set to launch on July 1st, 2026, much like the new Mountain West Conference with the addition of Texas State. The new Pac-12 will have 8 football-playing all-sports members, ends up meeting the NCAA football subdivision, the FBS, requirements to have 9 total full members across all other conference sports, including men's and women's basketball. After receiving a formal application, the Pac-12 Board of Directors, including all 8 current and future members of the new Pac-12, voted unanimously to admit Texas State to the conference effective on July 1st, 2026. So that is the big news out of the college football world, or I guess college sports world in general, Michael, as the Pac-12 continues. Are we going to call it a rivalry? Is that what we want to call it with the Mountain West at this point? It feels like it's they're competing with each other, no?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, this is with the Pac-12. Like, it's not the same as it is anymore. And as much as the Pac-12 wants to be a Power 5 school, no, you are not a Power 5.
This is not a Power 5
You are not a
conference.
Power 5 school. Like, honestly, like, your name is Pac-12. Do you even have 12 teams? Like, come on, get with your branding. But I guess it's not the Pac-2 plus 5 anymore. It's the Pac-2 plus 6.5 because Gonzaga's
Something
not
like
a football member. But yeah, I mean, it would be kind of cool though if we got some Mountain West games between some Mountain West Pac-12 bowl games, right? Where that's kind of your baked in opponents. Maybe that's something that the Hawaii Bowl could be in the future, where we have not only just the Mountain West representative, which it still is, and I think they play Conference USA, but a Hawaii Bowl between a Mountain West team and a Pac-12 team, that would feed children, because that's just cost. I mean, sure, it might end up being UTEP versus Texas State and the Hawaii Bowl, because Hawaii is going to be in the college football playoffs, but that would still be kind of a cool thing to have that if we can make that in there, because this is going to be a rivalry, and because honestly, it's a rivalry because I guess both conferences didn't want to do the smart thing and merge, where we could have been the merging of the two conferences could have been the Power 5 school, but now we got to get NIU, we got to get UTEP, we got to just kind of add Toledo, just kind of teams that kind of don't feel like we're kind of bringing the quality down a little bit. I'm not trying to say that this is not gonna be fun games. It's just we had an opportunity to be something if we just put our heads together and merge. But no, we won't be separate. But here's the thing: my analogy that I want to throw out, because it is also going to be high school football season now, is that the Pac-12 is kind of like your Waianae of high school football, because Waianae used to be a very strong power. They've won Prep Bowls, they've won OIA championships under Coach Ginoza, and that's just legendary coach. Legendary. That was the team that the coaches watching now wanted to emulate. But eventually, we start sending the best kids from Waianae to Punahou. DeForest Bruckner, they start getting their Hawaiian scholarships to go to Kamehameha, and Kapolei became a new school, and they started sending kids to Kapolei. And Waianae, just as much as we want to see Waianae in that open division, it's not going to happen, especially because there really isn't much new development in that area anyway. So that's the way the Pac-12 is kind of like. And, but I think it's in a way kind of like the Mountain West is kind of like a Moanalua, where it's kind of a newer school where they can kind of compete because they have the new facilities. They're kind of nicer, but they're never going to be like an open team because they're just not good. Like Hawaii, the Mountain West teams will never be like compete with the Alabamas and those types. So that's the kind of way I look at like these Mountain West and the Pac-12 now. It's kind of like a Moanalua versus Waianae in the OI football. And because if you look at those box scores from last year, those are some really epic games. Both teams made the OI playoffs. And yeah, which means I guess we need to broadcast Moanalua versus Waianae this coming season.
Sounds like a plan to me. I'm totally down for that. Just some more details on Texas State's move into the Pac-12. The Board of Regents approved the $5 million exit payment to the Sun Belt so that they can go off to the Pac-12, and it completes, or at least allows, the Pac-12 to move forward as they have the 8 football schools as needed, 9 schools in total. They'll start playing in the fall of 2026, and that, of course, is going to be when Hawaii starts in the Mountain West Conference for everybody else. The football team continuing on. Our Caesar commenting that they should just merge the Mountain West and the Pac-12 into one conference, kind of just echoing your point, Michael, or at least agreeing with your point, I'll say, where I don't necessarily disagree. It feels like they did have an opportunity to put together at least, maybe it wouldn't be on the same level as those other P4 conferences. I understand where you have the Super Conference, you have the SEC and the Big Ten and whatever, and the ACC and the Big 12 are both phenomenal, but maybe not quite on the same level as the other two. But if you combined the Mountain West alongside with the Pac-12, it did feel as though you'd have the legitimate chance to compete with them to an extent, or at least maybe you're towards the ACC, maybe you get towards the Big 12, maybe you get towards these other, they're the P4, but really it's the P2, and then, the middle P2, and then it's everybody else going on down through. And I do agree with you where if you put together these two conferences, if you would have put together these two conferences, I mean, Boise State, UNLV together, we saw how fun that can be in a course of a year. We've seen with Oregon State, we've seen with Washington State that they can compete towards the top 25 of the nation. And when you have that many schools put together, all you need is maybe 1 or 2 more. Does a Hawaii have a great year? Do you have a Utah State have a great year? Does New Mexico return to what was great at football one time? It'd be very interesting to see that. I don't know. It feels like it would have been a much better decision for everybody had they gone together. And instead, we see them now competing almost, rather than having their focuses being on the next of the Power 5, right? The next of the P4, the next one to go in there. Yeah, they're competing with each other, but some of their resources that could be going towards actually being a P4 or P5, I guess, it feels like their focus is more on, hey, look at how much better we are than the Mountain West. Look at how much better we are than the Pac-12. And part of that goes into the conversation is the media rights deals, right? Where the Pac-12 has partnered with CBS as their primary TV broadcaster. It's a 5-year deal that'll run into 2031. The main CBS network will broadcast 3 games and 3 football games at least, along with the conference title game, along with 3 men's basketball games, plus the conference tournament title game as well. All of it will be on Paramount Plus. It sounds pretty awesome, but then today, Michael, I believe it was, we saw that all of a sudden the Mountain West is in talks with ESPN for their media rights deal. And you can say whatever you'd like about ESPN, and I totally understand that they left a lot to be desired, I thought, with the NBA Finals coverage. But I do think that they do a pretty nice job overall with other broadcasts outside of the NBA and outside the NBA playoffs. I think that would be a lot of fun for the Mountain West to see that partnership go on and go forward. But kind of give me your thoughts on these two competing conferences, the media rights deals that kind of go along with it, and I guess what should Hawaii fans feel? What do you feel when it comes to this? Are you disappointed we're not in the Pac-12?
Of course not. I'm not disappointed when we're in the Pac-12. The ESPN thing with the Mountain West, I do need to fact check. There's a lot of, the thing is right now for fans, Hawaii fans, and people that are getting caught up in this Pac-12 Mountain West thing is that it's almost gotten to the point where we have narratives and propaganda from both sides. So I gotta check because even that ESPN report that I sent in our group chat, like people are accusing this guy, how much did you get paid by the Mountain West? But there is a lot of fake news and propaganda from both sides where this almost feels like a political presidential race, because you have propaganda from the Mountain West side, you have propaganda from the Pac-12 side, both trying to knock each other down, and it's ugly, right? I mean, we don't like here in sports. We don't like politics because both sides try to tear each other down, and that's what both sides are trying to do here in this. But we're in the Mountain West, so we rock with Gloria. So screw it to the Pac-12. But yeah, I mean, CBS picking up the Pac-12. I'm not surprised. The Mountain West had put out a graphic of all the Hawaii, or not, excuse me, of all the Mountain West games this year on CBS Sports, right? That's kind of the national programming, the national broadcast sports. And if you look at the teams in there, there's a lot of defectors of the Mountain West to the Pac-12 on the current CBS Sports listing for their national games. So I'm not surprised that they want to pick up the Pac-12 games, because they're already broadcasting a lot of like Boise, a lot of Colorado State in there, San Diego State in there. I was just trying to find Hawaii, and like Hawaii is barely on this graphic. I don't know. Sorry, we don't have it on YouTube. We don't have prep, but like Hawaii's like only shows up one string the regular season, but they do show up on like their non-league stuff, their non-conference games, which is Hawaii versus Stanford. So
right,
Hawaii got 2, I guess, 1.5, because one is not a conference game. So yeah, I'm not surprised that CBS is picking up the Pac-12 games, because a lot of their current viewers of the Mountain West games already are going to the Pac-12. Now, if ESPN picks up the Mountain West, that's kind of cool, because again, Hawaii does have that chase game, and I mean, especially when you get to the NFL season, right? If you can just stay on ESPN, if you want people just degenerate people that don't go to sleep, you can just leave your thing on ESPN. Like, you'll take you to the chase game, and then once you get the chase games over, which is gonna be if it's Hawaii time, like 9 p.m., that's going to be like 3 a.m. Eastern. You got some people starting to wake up or whatnot, or yeah, if the NFL has games in like London or the UK, I'm sorry, those are probably the two same things. Like, you'll have a game right after, and you're literally could have people on ESPN the whole time. You don't even have to change the channel. And that will help their ratings, their Nielsen ratings, because people are the average watch time is going on there. So yeah, I like if potentially ESPN picks up the Mountain West, because again, the ESPN are very big SEC because they have the SEC contract. But if ESPN picks up the Mountain West, that means the Mountain West is going to be on a more national scale and national audience and national exposure, because ESPN will glaze the Mountain West, which in turn will be glazing Hawaii, and that just boosts our recruiting possibility, right? So I like that.
I'm a fan of ESPN personally for the broadcasts of our visual football games. It's interesting, right? Since, once we hit July, it'll be 4 years since Texas and Oklahoma announced their move from the Big 12 to the SEC. The trickle-down effect is still going on, right? I really thought it was going to end up killing the Pac-12. It's impressive that the Pac-12 somehow survives now as the Pac-8/9. They get a decent deal. The Mountain West has also survived after what seemed like a really tough stretch for them. And it seems that we're not even close to the end of realignment still, as we continue to get programs moving from lower conferences, moving from older conferences. I mean, the WAC has all but ceased to exist at this point. There is a lot that has happened in 4 years, and we will see what happens over the next few.
Well, the WAC doesn't cease to exist. It's just gonna rebrand and rename. So the
WAC does cease to exist then by that actual definition.
But I think they're still like holding like.
They can hold that, but it doesn't exist
well,
anymore.
To me, it's not like the Seattle Seahawks holding on to their banner when the team moved, the Seahawks Supersonics.
I was about to say, I'm like,
moved
what do you know?
to to OKC. Like, people had the debate. Oh, was this really their first championship? And you could argue, but the WAC is still essentially. Because the thing, the WAC did the sensible thing. They're just rebranding because, hey, our teams are not just in the Western Athletic the Western whatever conference, So they're trying to be more, and I like it because it kind of expands their stuff. They're just rebranding, and that's what I think the Pac-12 and the Mountain West should have done, is rebrand. But no, because there's money involved and people have egos, it's not gonna happen. So I don't want to look at see people are talking about the debt of the WAC. I feel like this is new phone number, who this, but it's still the same. It's still the same conference, in my opinion.
Agree to disagree. No, kidding. But yeah, that's your update. That's the breaking news on the Pac-12. Texas State officially makes their move into the new Pac-12 from the Sun Belt Conference. $5 million being paid to the Sun Belt so that they can exit. July 1st kicks off the new Pac-12, the new Mountain West, and all of those. So enjoy your final year of what it currently is, because it is going to change. We got to step aside for our first break of hour number 2. Don't go anywhere, though. We'll be right back here on 95.1 FM and AM 760.
We are the
You're listening to Wake Up in the Den with Paul Brecht and Michael Lasquero on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, AM 760 and 95.1 FM, and streaming on hawaiisportsradio.com.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den. Paul Brecht, Michael Lasquero with you on this Aloha Monday. Thanks so much for tuning in, whether you're on the radio, whether you're on our website, whether you're on our YouTube channel, Hawaii Sports Radio Network. We appreciate you this and every weekday morning tuning on in from 8 to 10 a.m. live on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network or on demand, of course. We appreciate anybody who takes in what we have to say. We've talked a lot of hoops today. We were just discussing the Pac-12 adding officially Texas State. I'll say a big-time move for them as they officially get into what is needed for the FBS standards, the 8 teams for football, 9 overall, and a good continuation for the Pac-12 as they continue to battle with the Mountain West and continue to try and rebuild themselves in what has been an insane time of realignment over the past 4 years. Taken a shift or a switch away from football for a little bit. I wanted to talk a little bit about some Hawaii baseball as they've been picking up some recruits via the transfer portal. Most recently, Jack Berg of Arizona, a left-handed pitcher, making his commitment, along with Tino Bethancourt of, San Diego State. A couple of strong additions to the Rainbow Warriors as they look to rebuild their roster from last year. Christian Hoffman from Oklahoma also joining the Rainbow Warriors. And Michael, as I look at this team, I get excited once again, right, where you obviously lose a bunch via the transfer portal. You lose a bunch via graduation. Jordan Donahue, Jared Kwan, some of the biggest names, Shunsuke Sakaino, also another one there who has graduated. You have Ethan Thomas, Itsuki Takimoto, Cooper Walls all hitting the portal. Joshua Surigao, who ends up, I saw, transferring to West Virginia. The left-handed freshman pitcher makes his way on over there. So a good amount of talent leaving the program this offseason, whether it goes by graduation, whether it goes by the transfer portal. And we haven't even reached the, what am I looking for? The MLB draft quite yet. And even there, now I don't know if any Hawaii players will end up being drafted, but that is something that you have to keep an eye on as well. Matt Miura has been dominating out in the Cape Cod League. Is that somebody who maybe he piques the interest of a professional league? Is that somebody who piques the interest of a pro team? But yeah, they add on another 3 players: Christian Hoffman from Oklahoma, Jack Berg from Arizona, and then Tino Bethancourt of San Diego State. A trio of quality players. Just to give you a little bit of statistics, Hoffman didn't really play all that much at Oklahoma last year. His lone season with the Sooners, just appearing in 12 games, but he was a standout for New Mexico Junior College back in 2024 when he hit .328 with 10 home runs and 36 RBI. Had 41 games that year, so a little bit bigger sample size. He's a quality player. He's somebody with a boomstick, we'll say, right? Somebody who can add in some power for this Rainbow Warrior lineup. His dad played at Oral Roberts, and he just comes from a athletic family in general, and that's something that you've continued to see. Tino Bethancourt, one of the better players for San Diego State this past year, and also a pretty clutch player, somebody who comes through with runners in scoring position consistently, came through in the later innings, and he'll fit in with the 7, 8, 9 Bull Warrior time that we've consistently seen over the past few years under Rich Hill be so strong when it comes to Hawaii coming back. He being Tino Bethancourt is a El Dorado Hills, California native, spent the last 3 years with the Aztecs. His best season back in 2024, where he hit .275 with 6 homers and 14 doubles. Just some quality additions. Also, of course, I don't want to forget Jack Berg. He's a 6'4" lefty who can really huck it, and spent a good amount of his career, I'll say, at Tacoma Community College, where he posted an ERA under 1.0, went 5-0 with 42 Ks back in 2023 and 2024. Michael, just a continuation of quality recruiting, and I like seeing what Rich Hill, Keith Zuniga, and the Rainbow Warriors do every single year via the transfer portal. Last year, we saw them do this same exact thing, right, where they not completely rebuilt the team. That's not fair, but they added an incredible amount of quality players through the transfer portal, and they may not have had the biggest roles on their previous teams, but that doesn't mean that they aren't quality players. I mean, look no further than a guy like Freddie Rodriguez, who didn't have that big of a role with Cal Poly. He had a role, but not one that was stable enough for him, or not one that was good enough for him. So he hits the portal, and he comes here and honestly was a standout. I won't call him a star, but as close as you can get without being a star for the Rainbow Warriors, whether it was starting games, whether it was coming out of the bullpen. I thought he was phenomenal. I thought Shunsuke Sakaino, I thought he was phenomenal throughout the entirety of the season. It provided quality defense at second base along with a good contact bat there. And then you also have to think about potentially, and he wasn't a transfer, but with Ben Ziegler-Namoa, with him not being back potentially, how do you add on there? So I like going and adding some experienced pieces via the transfer portal so that you do have a very quality young group coming in. But I do think in baseball it is important to have those experienced players on the roster to just maybe even just fall back on. Is that fair?
I guess, but I mean, baseball is a tricky sport, right? Like, I mean, Bijan, I think he was still in the lineup last season. He was like hitting like 200. Of course, he was our best hitter this year, so you never know, right? It's just the way baseball is. Like, some players could go through a slump, so it's really kind of hard, to use the whole like veteran thing, because here's the thing too, is that the players, they also play travel ball like all their summers, so they're pretty much, everyone is pretty much a veteran. It's kind of like we talk about the University of Hawaii men's volleyball team is like being a young team. It's like, probably be like, yes, they're so young, but I mean, they've been playing high quality volleyball for much their entire lives. So I do like Evan, I believe his name, Robecki. He's a pretty good bat that I think. Some of the new guys coming in, I mean, I know there's a lot of positivity because we want to welcome in on you guys. I know there are a lot of social media accounts like Hawaii Huddle now that is just kind of being like on that, pumping up these players. I mean, but some of these players, I guess they're okay. I mean, I'm not gonna like be like, oh wow, like how you and Ku is with men's basketball. Like hold the hold the phones.
It's okay. You know nothing about them.
All
right.
Let's see how they look first, right? I mean, because again, not to go back to men's basketball, but when they came out flat against UH Hilo, that was a indicator for signs to come. When UH football came out flat against Delaware State, that was a sign of indicators to come. So now I've kind of learned after my first full year covering UH sports.
You just talked about two teams who are objectively worse than Hawaii baseball.
But here's the thing: it's like we are losing a lot of players, and I mean, I don't want to say anything, but there are. I'm not saying it's true, but there is a growing vibe from some of the fans that maybe Rich has favorites a little bit, or favor some of the local kids, and that's where a lot of the mainland kids are transferring out. But that's just a vibe, and that's the sense that some of the fans are getting. So hopefully we can be better in retaining some bats. I mean, because from what I've been hearing is that Aiden Cooney was our best hitter through all fall ball, but he kind of loses his spot 6 games into the season. So but I do know our hitting coach, we might be losing Coach Lindsey Meggs. He's kind of a big guy with our hitting coach and hitting development. He might be retiring because I know Coach Rich wanted him here. So that's kind of a big, but yeah, Keith Zuniga, everybody loves Keith Zuniga. So I'm not too worried about our pitching transferring out because Keith Zuniga will work miracles out of who we have coming out of the pen. I just want for this program to be super successful. Like, again, we can hit. I have no doubt we can hit, but we need to start getting this program some NIL money to retain some pitchers, right? I think one of the things that we kind of struggled with this year was that, yes, we got some great pitching out of Cooper Walls, Ethan Thomas, but I guess our day one pitcher or, one of our starting pitching rotations in Itsuki Takemoto didn't really perform the way we wanted him to on the mound. Yeah, he still hit homers and he still hit, but the way we want him to be on the mound, I think we put too much on him. I think we were trying too hard to make him Shohei, and now we don't even have Itsuki for next year. So, yeah, this program really needs some NIL money to help us retain some of our top pitching talent because, I mean, they're going to great schools. I mean, Cooper Walls, Florida, Ethan Thomas.
I don't know how much money is going to save us from these people.
But we just need something, Paul. We just need something. And this is to the corporate sponsors, right? And I'm my beef with the corporate sponsors. Yes, sponsor the University of Hawaii, do that. But like, if you're not gonna go to your seats for a sellout, please give your tickets away so we can actually have fans there at the sellouts. That's my thing, right? If you give your tickets away. But I guess that's I'm probably rambling too much and kind of.
I have no idea where you
probably
just went.
Probably we should go on a break.
I have no idea where you just went. We're going through the transfers, just as the full list, as you mentioned. Evan Robecki, coming from a first team All-American junior college selection this past year. He joins players like Cody Watanabe, former UH Rainbow Warriors, player Charlie Saum, Saul Soto, Tsuba Tomi, Grant Garman, Josh Martin, Caleb Okada, Mikey Easter, Christian Hoffman, Jack Berg, and of course Tino Bethencourt, all part of this recruiting class. That'll wrap up our Hawaii baseball conversation as we move along to the bottom of the hour. We got to step aside for another break, but we should have some fun coming on up here on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network. You won't want to miss it. You're listening to 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Dial Electric Supply is Hawaii's premier.
Back to more Wake Up in the Den with Paul Brecht and Michael Lasquero on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den. Paul Brecht, Michael Lasquero with you on this Aloha Monday. And I think we've got our friend Ku'ule Agbayani joining us as well. Ku, are you there? Can you hear me?
Hello, Paul and Michael. Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. Can you guys hear me?
We can. I am very thankful that you popped on this morning. We've definitely missed you over this past couple of weeks, but it seems as though you have been having fun. You and I got to have a little bit of fun the other day, but Michael was off, being Michael and working and whatnot, being all good at what he does. So he didn't get a chance to say hello. So I'm glad that he's going to get an opportunity to be here for this conversation. It seems your trip is coming to an end for the Europe side of things. Do I have that correct?
Yes, it has officially come to an end for the Europe side. So I have to, before we continue this conversation, I do need to put a little disclaimer out there that I have been traveling our plane ride. We just got into Chicago from Switzerland. So that was a 9-hour plane ride to here. I probably only slept 1 hour on that flight because I had binge watched the entire new season of Squid Games. So I barely slept. So don't mind me if I start blubbering or whatnot, which isn't much different than usual, but nonetheless, I just wanted to put out that little disclaimer. And you know what? I don't know how our Michael Lasquero does it with his odd sleeping patterns sometimes because I am just halfway between delirious. But I tell you what, it is a beautiful day in Chicago. So I'm excited to be back in my, I guess, the city that I feel like I now call my second home city.
That's fair enough. I'm glad you're back on U.S. soil. I'm glad that things were safe and smooth. It seems like on the way. What do you have planned that's left for the trip so far, or coming back? Right, you're in Chicago. You gonna get a chance to see a Cubbies game, or are you guys not able to see anything like that?
Yeah, so today is probably just kind of the chill day. I'm going to try to catch up on a lot of work and stuff now that I'm back on a somewhat of a normal US time, not 12 hours ahead of you guys over there, just a mere 5 hours now this time. But yeah, not too much stuff planned. We wanted to do a Soldier Field tour, but no surprise, it is sold out and we didn't plan accordingly, but we will check out a Cubs game this weekend, probably do the architecture tour for like the 4th time that I've done it, but I enjoy it so much when I'm here and I always have to do that tour. I highly recommend if anybody has never done it or planning a trip out here to Chicago. It's my favorite tour. And yes, like I said, it's going to be my 4th time, I think, doing it. Other than that, there's probably just going to be a lot of eating, as that is part of the reason why I love this city, because you are never short of a bunch of food options. I am having withdrawals though from my delicious local food, like especially some ramen that I've been craving, but I've been trying to hold out so that way when I get home Sunday, it'll taste like that much better to just stuff my face with, I don't know, some ramen or Zippies or something. So we'll see. But other than that, I'm going to indulge in a lot of the deliciousness here in Chicago.
I will save you from answering the question of what the best food you have eaten is yet, because I would imagine that, one, you're going to need a little more than just being thrown on the hot seat to think about that. And two, I do want to leave you something to be able to talk about once you get back with the beautiful people. We don't want to give away all of those secrets. But is there a food place that you do have to hit in Chicago? Is there one that you and your travel party, every single time you go, is there one that you always have to end up hitting? Being a New York guy, I always end up, anytime I'm in Chicago, I have to try some sort of Chicago pizza. I'll talk with whatever locals that I'm normally around to see what the Chicago deep dish pizza of the era is, to see that I'm getting the best one. Is there something that you guys have to hit while you're there, food-wise, though?
There's actually a bunch. We have a whole list that like our usual go-tos. I mean, Harry Carey's is right across the street from our hotel, so that's probably going to be on the quick dinner list for tonight. Other than that, there's this place called Steak 48 that's really good. Shaw's was where we get some of our seafood stuff. Of course, we got to get a Chicago dog from one of the carts out here, and then definitely at the baseball game when we go to that. There's a lot. So also Bavit's, excuse me, that's a steakhouse, but I've talked about it on the show before. I go to steakhouses a lot of the time and I get a burger. So I will likely go to Bavit's or Smith & Walensky, which is just around the corner from our hotel to get a delicious burger, because that is something I did not partake in when we were in Europe, because I'm not wasting my meals on a burger. I want to try all of the different food out here. But I must say, when you talk about favorite food on the trip, I will say that my favorite food was actually, it's the best Italian food I've ever had in my life. I know I did not go to Italy, but there was like authentic Italian food in Switzerland a couple of days ago, and that by far was like the best food I've ever had. Broke them out, and it was so good. I wish there was something like that in Hawaii because I will miss it. I almost went back the second day, but they were closed because if nobody knows this, in Switzerland or in Europe in general, they take their weekends and everything very seriously. They always laugh at the Americans and, you know, how we just have no days off. So a lot of the restaurants, including that restaurant that I really wanted to go back to, was closed on Sunday. So sad face, but it will live forever in my dreams.
It is certainly a shame, but I'm glad that you got to try it even the one time. I suppose while we have you, I should ask you a couple of sports questions to start to get you back into the mindset. It's Matt Elliott's first day as athletic director, and, you know, we certainly haven't told you this behind the scenes. As of now, everything seems to be going forward that we're going to have the new head man on the show tomorrow. Are there any things that you're wondering that you want us to ask, that maybe the beautiful people that you want them to think about to Matt Elliott? What are you most curious about as we get ready for that? Just so I know what the big boss wants to be talked about tomorrow as well.
Honestly, probably the biggest question that is no surprise, but I feel like it's something that he will not be ready to answer tomorrow. So I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't really divulge in any of the information, but just the clarity, right? With all the revenue share and everything, like how he envisions the distribution of the rev share and all of that stuff to all of the different sports and the student athletes, because as we have seen, the different schools are putting a lot into football and another lump sum into men's basketball, and kind of all the other sports get the rest, right? But in Hawaii, it's very unique, right? We have women's volleyball and men's volleyball that are just as, maybe sometimes more popular, I think some people argue, to our basketball programs, right? So it's it'll be interesting to see, and I'm curious to know what his vision and direction will be for that. But again, I feel like he's just coming on here. I'm sure he's already thought about it and has got a plan or putting together a plan. I won't get my hopes up that he will completely talk about that. And disclaimer though, I have not been able to read or listen to any of the interviews that he has done with other people yet. So if you guys know that if that has been answered, please inform me, because I have been on European time this whole time until now and getting back into work mode. But yeah, like I said, I think that would probably be my main question and what I'm curious about.
I think that is a fair question, and one that a lot of people would share curiosity about as we go forward into this new era of college athletics. And that gives me a good reminder to you, the beautifulest of all the beautiful people, to shoot us a text at 808-888-KGU1, 808-888-5481, or at us on Twitter, X, Instagram, whatever it may be. Let us know what your questions are for Matt Elliott as we have the new head man in studio tomorrow. Ku, I don't want to take up too much more of your time, and we do have to go to break here soon, so I'm going to leave you with one more question, and it's NBA related. I'm not going to ask for specific names, but we've talked about. I was
like, oh no, you guys know me at NBA. I checked out of NBA already. It's baseball season. Let's go Cubs.
I was going to say, go ahead. I was going to say, with free agency beginning, are you pretty set on your Orlando Magic? Are you still hoping that they bring something else in, or are you happy to just kind of see them move forward with their new big three of Paulo, Desmond Bane, and not Mo Wagner, but Franz Wagner?
What? Well, no, I'm just kidding. We all know who the better Wagner is. I am, just sitting back. Honestly, it's because with the Orlando Magic, and we've kind of chuckled at this because I like their Jamal Mosley as their head coach. So I feel like as long as you got a good head coach that you believe in, and of course a few star players, we can just wait and see. And just like I told you last week, my heart is still hurting for Cole Anthony not being in Orlando Magic. I don't know when I'll get over it. I think it'll just be when next season comes comes around that he will not be there. But no, I will just wait and see. And I'm very optimistic, which is rare, or it feels weird to say that for the Orlando Magic. I don't know what I'm looking forward to more, though, the playing or the actual uniforms that they're going to have this season, because it's a nod to the era in which I became an Orlando Magic fan in the first place. So, yeah, all around, I'm looking forward to next NBA season for sure.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. That's all I really wanted to hear. And Caesar giving us a perfect comment to send us to break. Pelicans versus Magic, NBA Finals 2028. Though he does say Batty Man Jordan Poole will be the NBA Finals MVP. So, the Eastern Conference champions, at least in 2028, the Orlando Magic. Caesar's making his flag, or planting his flag and letting us know. But we got to step aside for a break. Cool. I'll snip you loose for the rest of your, vacation and whatnot. Thanks for joining us today. It's always fun to chat with you a little bit more. And I'm sure the beautiful people love to hear from you too.
Oh, yeah, and I'm so happy to chime in and talk to you guys and the beautiful people. I do want to make sure I thought about this right after going back to the Matt Elliott thing real quick. I am curious. And again, guys, let me know if I missed this in all of the reporting. I am curious about the 1-year gap of the TV deal, with Spectrum and yada, 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 and what the projection looks like for the media rights deals moving forward with the Mountain West. But like I said, I'm not holding out too much optimism that it's stuff he'll share
that
with
he'll
us
be
yet,
ready on day 2 to talk about.
Yeah, those are definitely on the top of my list for what I'm curious about, and I know everybody else is curious about. But yes, again, thank you guys, Paul, Michael, and I know Zor and Ed for filling in this whole time and even for this week. But yeah, it's nice to be back in the US, and I can't wait to be back in Hawaii, where the weather is perfect, because it's been a struggle, dealing with the crazy weather in Europe and now here in Chicago. So I miss my Hawaii weather, where it's just, the 70s and 80s the entire time. And I will never take it for granted. Not that I ever do, but every time I'm away this long, I miss it that much more. And I just miss the beauty of Hawaii and, of course, all of the beautiful people there.
Like I said, I'll leave some of the stories for you to tell the beautiful people once you get back. I'm sure that is one that will be on the docket, but we got to step aside. Thank you so much, Koo, for joining us.
Bye, Koo.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, there we go. That's what we needed.
The patented bye from Koo. We'll say bye for a brief moment and then come back to close out hour number 2 of Wake Up in the Den here on 95.1 FM, AM 760, and streaming live on hawaiisportsradio.com.
Lasquero on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, AM 760 and 95.1 FM, and streaming on hawaiisportsradio.com.
Closing out hour number 2 here on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, Paul Brecht and Michael Lasquero. Mahalo to Ku'ule Agbayani for popping on for just a segment real quick to check in. She's back safely on U.S. soil after taking a nice trip over to Europe. A good time, it sounded like, for her. Excited to hear much more about that. Got her thoughts a little bit on what we should talk with Matt Elliott about tomorrow, and that's something that I am going to put out the bat signal once again to you, the beautifulest of all the beautiful people, where, of course, I will have things ready, and Michael will have things ready for our conversation with the new head man here at the University of Hawaii. But I want to know what the beautiful people want to know. I want to know what you guys are curious about, because sometimes my mind works a little bit differently. So please shoot us a text at 808-888-KGU1. That's 808-888-5481, and let us know what you want us to ask Matt Elliott tomorrow when he comes on to sit in the hot seat, and we'll get to do a little bit more of a getting to know you type of conversation, though there will be some interesting questions, I think, that are important to ask. I can't promise he will have answers to everything. It is his first day officially today. So on day number 2, I don't know if it's totally fair to expect him to have concrete answers, but it does seem that he is a man with a plan and somebody who continues to put together a plan as he talks more and more with the constituents and those around.
Paul, what was that text line again?
808-888-KGU1. That's 808-888-5481.
See, you did it again, because and it's not a knock on you. That's just what we've been taught, we've been trained, we've been raised how to do it. Is that you said 888-KGU1, right? Well, at least there's a 1 in there. But for those that why is there, for all the not boomers, but all the Gen Zs out there? I was going
to say the Zoomers are what they are referred to as, I suppose.
Is there a letter? Why is there a letter? It's because the original texting, Paul. But
I'm aware. Listen, Michael. Back in the day, I had the flip phone. I had the Nokia flip phone that I had to press through the buttons so that I could get the text messages all the way through.
Here's the thing, Paul, is that when we text nowadays, like if you tell me KGU, if someone tells me, oh, this is our text line, and they'll give me ESPN, 808 ESPN, I don't how am I gonna find that out on my phone? I gotta go on my lock screen. I guess my lock screen will have it, right? But then again, when you're texting, it doesn't show up.
But on the actual visual, when you go to your phone, it does, and you can see it there.
But that is when you go. Put it back on the. But this is when you're making an outgoing call, but we want people to text in. So, but when you text, when I text, you just have this. You don't. So I'm gonna type in 808. What is it? 855.
808 888
888. And then I'm gonna go back to the letters. I'm gonna type KGU1.
Now let me
that, Paul. I'm gonna write it like that, KGU1, and that doesn't do anything. I can't text. Let me try. I'm gonna text that number. Test.
Now allow me to take your stupid example, and I will say this: seems like nobody else is having an issue, and also, guess what? That test just came on through. So
wow,
get absolutely dunked on.
No, but Paul, this is, you can actually type KG1 in there. Wow, that is amazing, Paul. See, you learn something every day. If you're not learning something every day, you're doing life wrong.
We did get a text. We did get a text in from somebody that says, "Hi, Paul. Ask AD about the college football playoff invite for UH turnaround and Chase Griffin, 2-time NIL athlete at UCLA, if hiring or consulting." I'll do a little more background research and a little deeper dive into that so that I can do your question a little actual justice to Matt Elliott. It is actually good to know that you can put in KGU1, but it is very, very funny. Yes, 5481 is the actual number. Please let us, text on in. Let us know your questions for our new athletic director. And apologies, I did not see this one, but I do see it now. Another question for Matt Elliott. Does he plan to play a game on Maui? And is the 13th game not important? That's actually an interesting question just in general, Michael. I'll ask you as like a football guy, do you consider like the 13th game to be big anymore? Is that because that's like obviously the week 0 and whatnot for Hawaii? Is that something that they should be trying to use more often? Is that something that is bigger, or is it just not as important anymore?
Well, week 0 game obviously is a must. That 13th game, not a must, because again, we need to give our players rest. They need to recover. And then again, if we're trying to be in the national championship, we're gonna get 15, 16 games. So we don't need a 13 game, but we would like to have that week 0 time spot. But again, at the end of the day, if we're that last time slot in the day there as a chase game, then that works out even better. So make sure that we're the chase game, and we'll be fine.
What about thoughts on playing a game on Maui? Are you a fan of that?
I guess. Paul, I had my whole diatribe about the whole texting thing because I was trying to find content to talk about to close out the show, Paul. That's what it is. That's what it's called. It's called. We need to find something to talk about, and my mind's not mentally here.
Michael's ready.
I need rest,
be
and
all
I
pal.
just went off on there.
it.
But now we got 20 seconds left. So Paul, close it out.
I like these questions. These are good questions. Appreciate it. One more time before we're out of here. 808-888-KGU1. That's 808-888-5481. Let us know your questions for Matt Elliott, who should be here tomorrow. But for Michael Lasquero, I'm Paul Brecht. Thanks for listening to Wake Up in the Den. Bye!
Home of the Los Angeles Clippers, KGU AM K236CR is the Hawaii Sports Radio Network on AM 760, 95.1 FM.